joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Allianz Stadium in Turin has just got underway. Juventus taking on Manchester City. Two sides who really should be doing a little bit better in this Champions League, really. They're in the top 24, but both these teams really would have ambitions of being in the top 8. So still some work to do just to make sure they're in that 24. And obviously they'll be looking to try and push on as far as they can in these last couple of group games. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Simon Barlow taking the actual site. It's one of these games where two great teams, they can sometimes cancel each other out, though.
Yeah, they can. It depends on the coaches, doesn't it? You know, Pep Guardiola, he's hard to read sometimes. You know, sometimes in the past in these Champions League games, he's almost overthought things. You know, he's changed his formation recently into this back three system. They've gone back to a, you know, it just looks a little bit un-Manchester City-like in recent times, but I guess results have forced that. And we'll see if Thiago Motta is able to pick holes in this formation with what he's got set out tonight. Absolutely.
I think from Guardiola's point of view, of course, the amount of games they've lost recently is a new thing for him, so he's trying to sort of think on the fly as to how he can address it as quickly as possible. Of course, he is going to have to make some sort of change, but if he makes too many changes, of course, that is going to be a little bit difficult, I think, for his players to adapt. But City trying to get on the front foot here straight away down the right-hand side with Kevin De Bruyne. It's been closed down there by Thuram going back towards Ilkay Gundogan. It has been noticeable as well, of course. People are saying that, of course, Rodri not being in the team is a big miss, but the returning Gundogan from Barcelona isn't the same Gundogan, is he?
No, he's not. He's not got the legs, has he? And he used to pop up in the penalty area quite regularly. I know I think he hit the post, didn't he, at the weekend against Crystal Palace, but really his goal contributions this season have been massively down on what he was producing before he left for Barcelona, and it just seems like maybe in the Premier League the intensity has got a little bit too much for him, but maybe in the Champions League on a night like tonight he might be able to have a bit more success in a slightly slower tempo.
Yeah, they'll certainly be looking for him to try and get forward here. As a good challenge there from Danilo on the left-hand side for Juve, but certainly in the first couple of minutes City already trying to set out their stall, trying to get to the lion's share of possession here against the home side. Rico Lewis in this defensive midfield role back in towards Gundogan. And it's Bernardo Silva now on the right-hand side. A bit more space from here. He's got an overlap from De Bruyne. That's where the ball has gone. He puts an early cross in, looking for Haaland, but that's a little bit too high. A little bit too easy, really, there. And Michele De Gregorio getting underneath that one very easily. But from Juventus' point of view, of course, they can, as you mentioned, they can try and exploit the fact that City are sort of trying to chop and change and recover from a bit of poor form. But it just takes for the home side to actually get on the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, obviously, they've got a new coach, or coaching his first season at the club, Thiago Motta, and yeah, he's got a sort of settled formation. You know, it's a formation that's not losing games. Well, they're not winning many games either. They've got a lot of draws. Juventus' record, which is probably why they're not as close as they'd like to be to the top of Serie A. But he's going with a sort of settled formation and quite a sort of settled team. He's got one or two injuries to deal with, but he's not plugging in players into, you know, positions that are alien to them. He's giving them, you know, putting round pegs in round holes, which is the opposite of what, you know, Guardiola's doing at a club where he's been successful for 6 years.
No, absolutely. You mentioned there as well, it's 7 draws out of 10 the last games there for Juventus in all competitions, so they are becoming a little bit of a draw specialist. That's they're not losing games, of course, but as you say, you'd want them to have just a little bit more of an edge to try and get over the line in some of those games. But City now trying to push forward again down the right-hand side with Kyle Walker back in towards Gundogan. So Lewis got plenty of Juve players around, having to go back towards the halfway line here for Ruben Diaz. Jack Grealish in a central position now. Strong challenge there from Thuram. No foul, says the referee, Clement Turpin, but City win the ball back almost immediately. And here is Bernardo Silva now trying to break into the box on the right-hand side. A couple of Juve players getting in his way. In the end, it's Yield is his touch that takes the ball out for a throw to Manchester City. And he's not hanging around here. Bernardo Silva takes the throw on quickly. It's clear that City want to try and set a bit of a tempo early on in this game. So they're forced back towards the halfway line. Ruben Diaz now just taking a little bit too long on the ball, going back towards Ederson. That's another interesting one as well, of course. The City are sort of rotating their goalkeeper, aren't they?
Yeah, well, Juventus have been doing the goalkeeper rotations all season as well, haven't they? Perrin, who's had some really good games recently. I thought he was amazing in the recent Champions League loss to Stuttgart. He saved the bacon on a few occasions there, but you know, he's been dropped and De Gregorio's come in, and then Guardiola's decided that he wants Ederson back in the team now, having sort of lost faith with him or seemingly gone with Ortega early in the campaign. So again, I think it sort of underlines how strange times we've got, really, that these two clubs are chopping and changing goalkeepers quite regularly now.
Well, they are. I think it's just evidence, isn't it, that nothing is permanent in football. Even the biggest teams with the biggest budgets and ambitions can sometimes go through a bit of a sticky patch, and it's how they get out of it that's really going to mark them here. But City pushing at the edge of the Juve penalty here, and Di Gregorio there, a very risky pass out from his own 6-yard box. It just about reaches its target, though, and Juve do get the ball away. Down the right-hand side now is Francisco Conceição. Switches over towards the left here for Danilo. That's a really good ball as well, but City are playing a high line, and they may pay for it here because that ball goes through to Vlahovic. The flag doesn't go up for the time being. Vlahovic now getting towards the edge of the area. He goes for goal. It takes a big deflection. Now the City players are looking over to see if there's an offside, and I think there might be. So after all of that, well, it's not. It's quite close really from that angle. It's hard to tell, but I think the flag has gone up.
Yeah, it was Ruddy was trying to bend there. The Serbian striker was trying to sort of run almost adjacent to Diaz, and then sort of curler running behind him. He actually made contact with the Portuguese defender and nearly sent him to the ground, but in the end it wouldn't have mattered anyway because the flag went up. Well,
the point I was going to make, just as so Juve were going on that attack, is that if City are going to play such a very high line, they need to make sure they get that offside absolutely right, of course, because if they don't, then there's going to be so much space for that Juve attack to try and work with. But for the time being, City back in possession again, around about the halfway line.
I just wonder about the goalkeepers and the constant changing of goalkeepers, particularly with Juventus and Motta. Is it tactical? Are they looking at the two goalkeepers' strengths and weaknesses and saying, okay, this is the way we want to play tonight. This goalkeeper is better for that way of playing, whether it's he's better kicking out from the back, or whether he's just a better goalkeeper coming for crosses or whatever you like, and that's what they're expecting from the opposition. They won't be expecting too many crosses from Manchester City tonight, but clearly Di Gregorio's got some sort of facet to his game that's better than Perran for what they want to do tonight.
No, I think that's a fair point. And I think in this modern age, with so much emphasis being made on playing out from the back, it wouldn't actually surprise me if there were now ratings for how goalkeepers are on the ball and whether or not you can actually trust him to play out from the back, whether or not he's a good shot stopper or not is almost immaterial at some stage with some managers, I think. And it's a fair point. Di Gregorio did play in that 0-0 draw away to Aston Villa, but here come City now, and De Bruyne, he loses the ball there. I think he was hoping for a free kick rather than knowing that he was going to get one. I think he just lost his balance, and it's Juve in possession now down the right-hand side with Conceição back in towards Locatelli. This is the trouble for Juve when they do win the ball back off City. All they see is an offside line that's pretty much on the halfway line. So there's not much space here for Juve to work with. Conceição having to go into the middle this time, and Danilo over towards the left-hand side for Yildiz. Vlahovic again just lurking offside, trying to force any kind of space, but there's not much for them to work with.
Now, City are squeezing up, and it's funny you mentioned the Aston Villa game. That's exactly Aston Villa's approach as well, isn't it? To squeeze up, play the game in their opponent's half, and it's going to be tough for Juventus to play through. They might have to try and mix things up and play over the top, but then has Vlahovic got the pace to squeeze into that space behind? And there is quite a bit of space behind the City back line, and then Ederson on the edge of his box.
Yeah, absolutely, it's just all about that timing, isn't it? We've seen a couple of times this season Ederson flying off his line when he doesn't maybe need to. So if you can just get that little bit of a doubt between the defence and the goalkeeper, may bring dividends. There's a ball over the top now for Conceição to chase. Rico Lewis gets there first, but he's under real pressure there from the Portuguese as he drawn the foul. Vlahovic then chasing that ball in, and Juve won a free kick. Juve won a corner. They are going to get a corner kick after all of that, and Rico Lewis initially did well, but then he was probably just hoping that he could muscle that ball off, and Conceição jumps in front of him. Yeah,
very clever from Conceição. He didn't give up the chase there. He was very much second favourite when the ball got played because Lewis had a couple of yards on him. But I think Lewis's first touch wasn't great there, and it maybe belies a little bit of a lack of confidence that he's going through a little bit of a crisis of confidence for Rico Lewis, who's been excellent since he's come into the Manchester City team. But of course, he got sent off at the weekend, possibly a little bit unjustly, but still.
Yeah, that's second
he's having a bit of a struggle.
He is. I think it's also because he was talked up as being this sort of excellent right back stroke defensive midfielder. Then I think he's been exposed in a couple of games as not being, the finished article. He's still a very young player as well. And you mentioned that yellow, the two yellows against Palace. I mean, that second yellow, arguably he was the one being fouled, really, wasn't he? So he was very unlucky to get that one. But it's a bit of a delay here now as that tangle between Conceição and Rico Lewis has resulted in the Portuguese just being down on the ground momentarily.
Yeah, I think he's turned his ankle, or he's got kicked on the ankle, possibly by Lewis. He was definitely trying to make the referee aware of that, maybe try and get Lewis in the book, but the referee, Mr. Turpin, wasn't buying, and so Conceição has to go off because he's had treatment on the pitch.
Yeah, he's off. He won't be on for this corner kick. It's going to be Tuena Koopmeiners to take this corner from the right-hand side. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger, plenty for him to aim at inside that 6-yard box, but he's overhit that completely. I mean, if anything, Lewis could have actually let that go out for a goal kick, but he heads it out, and it will be a throw on to Juve. That's so disappointing. They've had so little attacking possession, Juve. They just need a better ball into the box there.
Yeah, just never looked good, did it, when it left his boot, and yeah, just completely overhit. City love the in-swinging corner, don't they? But they've not scored from any this season. You know, it's been another facet of their play which has been disappointing recently. Their output from set pieces, usually so good in swinging corners, in swinging free kicks, but not as effective this season.
No, it just seems that everything's sort of just gone a little bit amiss for Manchester City over the last couple of months with those unexpected results, series of defeats, and it just seems like they're sort of trying to tear everything up from it and start from scratch, which they don't really need to do. But it's natural reaction when you're such a winning team and then suddenly nothing is going right for you. And it isn't helped by the fact, of course, that their old rival Liverpool has had such an excellent start to the Premier League campaign as well. But it's a bit of a mess for City there. They had a throw on the halfway line. It's just hooked out by Rico Lewis, and it's a throw to Juve still inside of their own half. You see Manchester City bench full of talent there as well. One of the players we just saw there is Phil Foden, of course, who's gone from being the player of the year to just being almost frozen out this season. Yeah,
he's not been doing it though, has he? It's sort of, you know, his form's dropped off. He's not been getting games because, I mean, his performances haven't really warranted them. I think you know, he's obviously got a role to play, and it's just a question of time when he'll be eased back in and things will start to happen again for him. But at the moment, he's not deserving of his starting place.
No, and as I say, there's always going to be plenty of competition in that Manchester City team. As I say, with the exception of Haaland, I suppose anybody's got a guaranteed place, and even Haaland, I suppose, if he was to completely drop off, would probably get rotated out of the team as well. With City now fighting to get this ball under their control. It was Lewis with the throw. Grealish does well to just spread the play out towards the right-hand side. And here is Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva. Silva getting towards the edge of the area, just checks his run, goes back in towards Gundogan. Here is Bernardo Silva again. It's just Haaland waiting at the edge of the area. Grealish is just behind him. But for the time being, City just trying to work an opening here. Lewis has got a bit further forward, and he finds the space. Grealish with a bit of a heavy touch. There might have been quite a strong pass from Lewis in the first place. It's cleared back into midfield. Guardiola is there for Manchester City. Towards the left-hand side. Not seen too much of Jeremy Doku yet. It's quite a rare thing, really, to see Doku and Grealish starting at the same time. I suppose there's another example of Guardiola trying to just mix it up and find the right solution.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying Grealish in a slightly different position now, isn't he? You know, maybe that's a position that he can play out on the left-hand side that perhaps Phil Foden couldn't. I mean,
I prefer Grealish as a number 10 to a left winger anyway. I think he does better work in the middle than he does out on the left-hand side. But in the meantime, City have won themselves a free kick. It was the aforementioned Doku. Just gets trodden on there on the left-hand side. So it's going to be a chance now for City to get in one of these in-swinging free kicks. Get the big defenders up from the back, as well as Haaland, of course, who's already going to be in there to try and work something from this free kick. And no surprise to see Kevin De Bruyne is standing over this one. It's on the left-hand side, about maybe 10 or 12 yards on the diagonal from the edge of the area. But De Bruyne surprises me. He takes it short to Doku. Doku then goes back to De Bruyne. He's got it onto his left foot. Then he puts a cross into the box. It's headed away towards the edge of the area. Grealish then hooks it up in the air to be kept alive on the right-hand side by Bernardo Silva. But he's played back to Gundogan. Now into the middle here for Rico Lewis. And really, I think it has to be said, that's a wasted set piece there from City.
Yeah, it was very strange, wasn't it? You know, he stood over it there, De Bruyne. I don't know whether it's just an off-the-cuff decision to pass it to Doku and then get it back. But when he got it back, he'd have thought he'd opened his body up onto his right and tried to curl it in to the far post, and instead he's gone the left-footed cross. So it all just seemed a bit muddled there from De Bruyne and City.
No, it didn't look good. And I say it wasn't effective in the end. Juve easily dealing with that one. The ball is now back on the halfway line. It's the 14th minute, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary from the Allianz Stadium in Turin, where it's goalless between Juventus and Manchester City. Grealish now under pressure down the left-hand side, going back in towards Guardiola. Juve just sending a few players further forward. Conceição, by the way, is back on the field. Everything looks fine with him after that earlier collision with Rico Lewis. Edison taking his time here, the goalkeeper. Looking like he still wants to try and play it out short, but there are 4 Juve players lurking at the edge of the area. Doesn't stop him though. He still rolls it to Ruben Diaz, who's immediately under pressure. Then back to Edison. He's under pressure. Gundogan then having to rush his pass back towards Ruben Diaz. And in the end, Diaz doing what's showing Walker what Edison should have done a few passes ago. Just clear it long, because City very nearly playing themselves into trouble there.
Yeah, Guardiola looks anxious on the sideline as he watches his defenders just tie themselves in knots. You know, this is so un-City-like. They're usually so calm. They've always got a pass. They've always got an option to play it to, and it seems like they're just overcomplicating things again.
Here comes Grealish now, maybe trying to get things a little bit simpler going forward. Grealish leaving the ball here for Doku down the left-hand side. Doku skips past 2, he gets clipped there. That's going to be a free kick. A bit of a clumsy one there from Coop Miners.
I think he knew what he was doing there, the Dutchman. Doku had beaten him. He was running into a dangerous area. He just sort of left his leg there without really sort of moving it too much towards the Belgian.
There's not much malice, but he knows what he wants to do. He wants to trip the man to make sure he goes down. He wasn't trying to sort of kick him or anything, but he wanted to make sure that the foul was committed there, Coop Miners. I think he's being told by Clement Turpin if he does anything like that again, it will be a booking. But any yellow cards so far in this game as Di Gregorio, now the goalkeeper, trying to organise his defenders. Well, this is a slightly more awkward angle, if anything, for De Bruyne. It's more central, so any kind of lofted ball into the box should be easy for the goalkeeper to spot. We'll see whether or not City are going to try another kind of variation. No, it's just a straight ball into the box. It's over the head of Grealish, and it's a sort of kneed away by Thuram. It's back into midfield here now for De Bruyne. Plays it back towards Kyle Walker. And again, that wasn't the most classic of set pieces, but it was a difficult one because it was quite a central position to start with.
Yeah, and I just think it's, you know, again, strange to see Manchester City making poor decisions from set pieces. You know, usually they would have just passed that one square and built up. You know, not a favourable angle for a cross. They would have just, you know, gone back to their sort of normal base procedure of just probing and passing around the edge of the box. But for some reason now they feel as though they need to maximise the opportunity and put the ball into the penalty area, but they were massively outnumbered.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, and again, De Bruyne trying to play a lofty ball in for Jack Grealish to head on to somebody else isn't what you'd expect Man City to do in any kind of set piece, really, unless it was something makeshift, not something where they've tried to actually plan it to be that way. But I just guess it just means that they're trying to do anything really just to try and break this poor run of form. 70% possession for City, by the way, early on to Juve's 30. But this is great work from Bernardo Silva down the right hand side. He skips past 2 players. He tries to get a cross in. It's a good challenge there though from Pierre Kalulu, and that is out for a City corner on the right hand side.
Yeah, a lovely little nutmeg there from the Portuguese. Got past the first line of defence, but even when he did so and he was in a crossing position, he looks up, there's 2 City players that are behind him in the penalty area and about 6 Juventus defenders there who are either alongside him or in front of him, and there was just no way through.
The out-swinging corner here from Manchester City. It's De Bruyne across to take this one. Haaland's got quite a fair bit of traffic in front of there. Looks like Manuel Locatelli has been charged with trying to stop him. It's De Bruyne's out-swinger. It's aimed at Haaland. It just goes over his head. There might still be a ball in for Grealish on the left-hand side. He just about keeps it alive. He backheels it to Bernardo Silva, who'd moved away in the meantime, and Locatelli's able to mop up here for Juve, going back to Di Gregorio, who takes his time for sending a long ball up towards the half-line. Headed on there by Vlahovic. It's nearly picked off by Conceição, but Rico Lewis and Kyle Walker get that ball under control and play it back to Ederson.
Yeah, again, Lewis looking a little bit shaky with that touch, which didn't, you know, play Walker into too many. Well, it started, you know, it was a little bit short of the pass, but he was able to get it back to the keeper anyway. But yeah, Manchester City just not really creating anything at the moment. Neither are Juventus. I kind of expected this to be a tight game. You know, 2 teams that haven't won a lot recently. I think City have probably won as many games as Juventus have because Juve have been drawing too many. But yeah, it just seems like maybe 2 teams that have lost the winning habit, and we're just heading for a sort of a scoreless first half. Yeah, it's almost like that thing we always fear as neutrals, where it's 2 teams that are more worried about losing the game than they are believing that they're going to win it. And I think that's always it's always a feature of international football, isn't it? When you do the international tournaments, you always know that most of the teams are going to be just trying to avoid defeat, which makes for a very negative sort of game. I wouldn't necessarily say that Juve are playing like that, but they're up against a team who've got loads of the ball and can't do too much with it. So that ends up being a byproduct. But now it's Juve. I've got a bit of space to finally get forward. It's down the right-hand side here. Conceição gets the ball off Savona, plays it back into midfield here for Locatelli. His ball into the box is just a little bit too high there for Vlahovic. Should still be kept alive on the left-hand side here by Yildiz, who puts it onto his right foot and goes for goal. It's a bouncing ball. And Ederson with a sort of half dive. So it's almost like the goalkeeper could see it was bouncing wide. But it's finally a shot at goal there from the home side. Yeah, he's got bags of confidence, Yildiz. And that was a decent effort from the corner of the box. Plenty of power. And a bit of swerve as well, probably swerving away from Ederson's left-hand post. He put a despairing hand out there, the Brazilian, because he wasn't sure. And I think he might have touched that, actually. That could easily have been given as a corner, but I think City got a goal kick. Yeah, it was just given as a goal kick in the end. And from Yildiz's point of view, it would have been frustrating, because it actually looked when he hit it like he was going on target, but then just that little bit of extra swerve
takes it away from the post, and as I mentioned, there may well have been fingertips from Edison as well. The ball now back with the Di Gregorio the Juventus goalkeeper. Rolls it out quickly here for Federico Gatti. His ball up towards the halfway line. Just gets away from Conceição. And Lewis should be able to keep this in play for Manchester City. Certainly seeing the majority of the ball. It's been a fairly quiet night in the Champions League so far in the 8 o'clock kickoffs. It's 2-0 to Feyenoord against Sparta Prague, and Stuttgart are a goal down at home to Young Boys. All the other 8 o'clock kickoffs are goalless for the time being, and in the earlier kickoffs, Atletico Madrid beat Slovan Bratislava 3-1, and Lille beats Sturm Graz by 3-2. As City now trying to go down the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think Feyenoord would go above Manchester City with the scores as they are at the moment. Of course, they came back to draw from an impossible position, 3-0 down with about 70 minutes gone, wasn't it, at the Etihad Stadium. Got a point from that game, and now if they win tonight, yeah, they would go above Manchester City and Juventus.
They would do, yeah. They'd have a point. And that's, of course, the live table showing that these two sides are drawing this game. They may well still be a winner in this game, which would put them even further behind a side like Feyenoord. As it stands as well, the live table showing PSG outside of the top 24, which is quite incredible, really. But to say it's one of these... when you've got a new format like that, I suppose it is going to take a little bit of time for all the teams to adapt, and perhaps some of the lesser fancy teams can take advantage of that if they've got a bit of good form. But 21 minutes on the clock here. It is goalless. Manchester City just taking a bit of work here now to try and get the ball away from their own half. It finally reaches Haaland, but as it does so, it's a good strong challenge there from Danilo, and now Juve trying to get on the front foot here down the left-hand side. Yildiz picks the ball out. That's good control from him, and then he switches play over towards the right here for Conceição. Being closed down by Rico Lewis. Grealish is back there to support as well, but Conceição still on the ball, puts in a decent cross, but it was one of those ones where he just did it hoping there'd be somebody around about the penalty spot. There was, but it was only a Manchester City player, so that one's cleared straight back into midfield, and Juve can start again here now with Kalulu. Danilo now down the left-hand side. That looks a long way offside. The flag stays down, but then the ball into the box is over here. I think Yildiz might have suspected he might have been offside. Bit of a throwaway cross. Referee says play on because the flag did go up, but now Grealish motoring down the middle here for Manchester City, gets the ball to De Bruyne. Doku down the left-hand side at the edge of the area, trying to get away from Conceição, trying to get away from Gatti as well as he holds the ball up, going back in towards Rico Lewis. Once again, no easy route into goal here for Manchester City. Back into midfield now. Guardiola and Ruben Diaz joining the midfield as they often do. It's just no road in towards Di Gregorio's goal for the time being.
No, it's quite interesting, isn't it? When Juventus get an attack going, that they're doing it in sort of 2s and 3s, and that midfield pivot of Thuram and Locatelli, they don't leave their stations at all. They're always goal side and protecting the defence. Well,
just as we say that, City finally get a bit of movement down the right-hand side. It's a nice overlap there. De Bruyne finding Bernardo Silva. His cross over the head of Haaland, and it's Doku on the left-hand side whose cross is charged down. Still half a chance here for City, but in the end it's Conceição back helping at the edge of his own area. He wins the ball, goes back to Locatelli, who then plays it away up to Yildiz on the halfway line as Juve now trying to get something started themselves, but Danilo firing that ball straight in towards Gundogan. It's a second chance now as that ball is not good enough towards Vlahovic. Disappointing there really from Coop Miners and Manchester City. Going to try again here now with Rico Lewis in towards De Bruyne. It's Doku down the left-hand side, trying to get away from Savona. Gets the ball into De Bruyne, into the 6-yard box. It's just away from Haaland. The sliding challenge there just gets that ball away from Bernardo Silva, and Juve just about survive. We're over the halfway mark now in this first half. It is goalless between Juve and Man City. It will be side to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, cheers, Paul. Yeah, it was almost a case of too many cooks there for Juventus at the back. They had lots of bodies back, but nobody really took charge of the situation as that ball was played into the heart of the penalty area. Anyway, they have it now. The Bianconeri out on the left-hand side is Thuram, playing it back to Kalulu. Locatelli's come short, but Kalulu plays it sideways to the former Manchester City man Danilo. He tries to knock it down the line to Coop Miners, but it's cut out by Bernardo for a throw-in. Yeah, Coop Miners moments ago when they had that opportunity on the counter-attack, and there was so much space for the Dutchman to play the ball in behind to Vlahovic, and he just couldn't come up with the right pass. Disappointing that for a player who's been signed with big expectations from Atalanta. On ball over the top from Savona is going to be in the direction of Conceição. Again, an awkward touch there from Lewis. He manages to get the throw in as he plays it off the Portuguese winger, and then I think he shoved the the player in the face as well. And Conceição's also trying to make a meal of everything now that happens with the contact with Lewis.
Well, he is, but in fairness to the referee, he's letting a few things go. He's not been close to booking anybody yet, so I think the referee is trying to encourage the players not to sort of draw every foul, but obviously it's habitual for players to always try and do that.
Here's Ruben Dias, the former Benfica defender, plays it across his defence to Walker. He's got the captain's armband on again tonight. Back to Dias. And now Gvardiol steps up, plays it to Grealish. Back it goes into the heart of the City defence. Juve backing off in their out-of-shape 4-2-3-1 formation. Only Vlahovic in front of the ball. Now, Yildiz has gone back there to try and help out with Bernardo in possession. Now, Walker finds Lewis, centre of midfield, about 30 yards out. All very congested there. Grealish in the 10 position, knocks it back to Gvardiol, who plays it further wide to Doku. He's one-on-one with Savona, but Savona's now got help from Conceição. Beats him on the outside here, but he just runs out of pitch as he tries to get that cross in. And he goes behind before it's caught by Di Gregorio.
Well, City still trying on this occasion. It was more Doku just trying to go for pace, but in the end his effort was he just ran out of space on that left-hand side, as you said, as we see Haaland a moment or two earlier trying to get on the ball, but that was really good covering from Danilo. And that's earlier pass from, well, an earlier strike, in fact, from Yildiz, which had Edison scrambling. But there's been precious little in front of goal relief from both sides so far.
Yeah, I think that Yildiz effort is probably the most memorable effort of the game. We see a foul here by Lewis on Vlahovic, just inside the centre circle, which the referee's penalised with a free kick. In fact, I think it was probably Ruben Dias who committed the foul, not Lewis, although Vlahovic was very much the meat in the sandwich there. Manchester City in their away colours tonight, mirroring the Torino colours actually. This could be a Turin derby, couldn't it, if you didn't know. Juve very much the big brother of that City rivalry.
Right, so it's their only win in their last 5 or 6 games as well. Is that home to Torino back in early November as well?
Oh, given away by Koopmeiners. He's not having a good game there, the Dutchman. He apologises to Yildiz as City steal back possession.
Well, it's a problem, isn't it? Because Juve have got so little attacking possession. Every time Koopmeiners lose it, it's even more noticeable because it's going to take such a long time for them to get it back again.
Yeah, Europa League winner with Atalanta last season. Atalanta who... I think are now top of Serie A, aren't they? Had a good win at the weekend. As Doku takes the ball in a tight area, comes infield, but couldn't really make a forward pass with that, so he has to go all the way back to goalkeeper Edison. And now Lewis again, turning around the corner, finding Grealish, who's facing the wrong goal there. He's facing his own goal, and he has to play it that way to Josko Gvardiol. And he takes no risks going back to Edison. They're trying to draw Juve on to try and sort of elicit some kind of press, but Juve are just holding the positions, not really chasing the ball. Don't want to allow an extra man. Well,
it's almost like Juve are trying to conserve their energy a little bit. It's almost appreciating the fact that if they send too many men forward here early on in the game, that could leave them a little bit short towards the end of the game there. It's almost like Thiago Motta's prepared them for the long haul. They're going to be potentially 0-0 with City for some time.
Juve won't press Edison, so they're happy to press defenders in possession, but they won't press the goalkeeper because they know how good he is with his feet. At the other end, Di Gregorio, I've been very impressed with what he's done with his feet as well in this game. And it would seem to me as though he's been selected because he's good with the ball at his feet. That's a great turn, though, in midfield from Yildiz. He gets away now from City's midfield and plays it into Vlahovic. Could be a chance there, but the Serbian's taking it too far wide. And in the end, he comes up with a cross more than a shot, and it's an easy pick-up for Edison.
Well, it's a shame that Vlahovic couldn't get a shot away from his point of view. But once he's in that wide position, he really should have looked up because that pass is to nobody. It's a giveaway of possession, really, that Edison could just mop up. But, yeah, it all started with that lovely turn from Yildiz.
Yeah, he's certainly looked pretty bright in this game, the young Turkish international. City on the ball with Lewis up to Haaland. I don't think I've mentioned Haaland being on the ball. That might be his first touch after about 29 minutes. Not a rarity for Haaland to go long periods in a game without getting a touch.
No, it's, as I say, the important thing is that once he gets a touch, it needs to be noticeable. Like during the game between Atalanta and Real last night, in the first 10 minutes, we didn't mention Mbappe, then he got one pass, one touch, and he scored. And that's something that Haaland is certainly very good at doing as well, but he needs to get that one chance. Yeah,
he scored at the weekend against Crystal Palace, his 18th of the season. It was a header as well, a rare header from Haaland, who's, it's not, let's just say it's not his strength, but off the left foot or the right foot, he is deadly. The Juve defenders bouncing up and down, trying to generate some atmosphere inside the Allianz Stadium. It's Not been great fare so far from either team, really. A lack of quality moments in the game as Walker takes a pass and plays it up towards Bernardo. It goes back now to Gundogan, who strides over the halfway line. He's looking for a pass out to the right for De Bruyne. Can the Belgian make things happen? He's knocked it on now to Bernardo. Bernardo approaching the penalty area, back to De Bruyne. De Bruyne now looking to play it back to the Portuguese winger. He's got Walker in support, puts the cross on himself. It's headed away by Locatelli. Comes back edge of the box to Gundogan, but he can't find his way through a wall of black and white shirted midfielders. Great play from City, though. Gets it out to Doku on the left-hand side. He knocks it back into Lewis's feet. 25 yards out. Lewis square to Gundogan. Bernardo's got his hand up and he receives the ball out on the right-hand side. Trying to get it onto that favourable right foot. Puts a low ball in towards Walker. Walker now cuts it back edge of the box. There were 3 Juve defenders there. Gatti gets it clear. And Yildiz now plays a ball inside to Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners slides it past out towards Conceição as Juve change the point of attack. But City have got numbers back now. And we've played half an hour and it remains 0-0.
Well, that was finally a good overlap for City down the right-hand side. But as you mentioned, as soon as Walker cuts it back, there are 3 players there getting in the way of that. And again, just no quick route out here for Juve. Not necessarily because of that ball from Koopmeiners, which was a little bit behind Conceição, but there was just no other outlet once he got the ball anyway.
Yeah, looks like Feyenoord have scored again.
3-0 up now,
against Sparta Prague. That's a long ball forward from Locatelli. Now seeks out Yildiz. Great first touch from the Turk, and he's got behind the City defence. He's into the penalty area. Yildiz gets a shot away. It's blocked. He might get another chance there. He goes down looking for a penalty, but it's not been given. And eventually it's hammered away behind for a goal kick. But just one ball from the back. Locatelli spotting Yildiz, got in behind Walker, and even Walker's recovery pace couldn't get him back into position.
No, well, it is to say, this is credit to Yildiz, because when he goes for the first shot, he loses his balance. He gets up, manages to get a second ball back. I mean, we're getting a very super slow-mo there. I don't think there's any suggestion of a handball there from a City player, and there's certainly no foul on Yildiz after that. But, yeah, that all starts from a long ball from Locatelli, and it's interesting you say that Juve won't press on Edison when it's just a pass played back to him, but they are leaving plenty of players around the edge of the area for a goal kick.
Yeah, and they're just to say that they do press Edison, and his clearance is a little bit hurried. He goes up towards Haaland, whose first touch lets him down, and Juve have the ball back now with Gatti, who sends it further back towards Di Gregorio. He knocks it wide, and Kalulu into Thuram's feet. Kalulu again, back to Thuram, playing a little 1-2 between themselves, but not many options here for the Frenchman by the corner flag. He eventually turns onto his favoured right foot and looks to move it down the line. A little 1-2 there with Kalulu again. Now Koopmeiners, head down, burrowing forward, finds Thuram, who's going to look forward and plays a nice pass. Well, it looked a nice pass when it left his boot. It's actually gone out for a throw-in. It ends the Juve move stone dead.
Disappointing now, really. I thought it might have even got a deflection of someone. It went off at such a funny angle, but he's just miskicked that one completely. And a chance now for City to get back on the ball. But these last few minutes will be pleasing for Motta. His side are just starting to get out of their own half a little bit more. But the worry, I think, for Guardiola, as you mentioned, is that the best chances really have been for Juve. Was that strike from Yildiz was the closest we've come to a goal. And City, although they've had some promising build-ups into the box, they've not really had a dangerous effort on goal yet.
Yeah, you can see why Juventus have kept so many clean sheets this season under Thiago Motta. They look very secure defensively, and those midfielders offer good protection. Locatelli involved again with a turnover of possession, but this time the referee has blocked Koopmeiners, and so he's stopped play. In fact, it looks like Clement Turpin's taken a knock in the side from the Dutchman as he tried to get the ball, and he's just taking a moment here.
He is. I'm not laughing at the referee getting injured. I'm laughing at the expression of Guardiola's face. It was almost the most incredulous, what? I'm having to have a delay in the game now because the referee's got injured. But in fairness, the referee does get in Koopmeiners' way. Whether or not it's just one of those unfortunate things where the ball was just a bit too close to the referee for him to get out of the way. But just like a good footballer, he manages to run the injury off himself.
Yeah. Juve restarted there with the drop ball and have played it back to Kalulu. And now Danilo up to Koopmeiners again. Back to Pierre Kalulu, who's the left-sided of the 2 central defenders, but he is all right foot. Now Gatti, who's on his natural side, brings it out of defence, plays it up towards Vlahovic. Nice layoff there to Savona. Now Conceição's lost it. Played forward by Lewis. Challenged there by Locatelli on Grealish. Is a foul, and so City have a free kick just 5 yards inside the Juventus half.
Will be a free kick. Just to let you know that Arsenal have now taken the lead at home to Monaco. I was always thinking there'll be strong favourites there, and it's Bukayo Saka with the goal there for the Gunners.
These two sides have played each other in European competition 6 times. City have only won the once, and that was the first ever match back in the 1976-77 Fairs Cup. The last 2 times these sides played, they actually met in the Europa League, and both times the games finished 1-1.
So maybe that's got 0-0 written all over it.
Well,
a draw is, as I say, seems to be a bit of a theme. Although,
yeah,
I'm quite surprised actually that these sides haven't met more times in the Champions League. I suppose just with the seeding in the previous format, they may have avoided each other because of that.
Grealish is on the ball now. Plays it over to Diaz. Diaz back to Gvardiol. Down the line to Doku. Doku now just jinking inside Savona, but has to play it inside to Lewis. Now City get it out to Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne offering something, but he's got 3 Juve players around him. He creates space now for Walker, who's moved up from the back. Walker into the Juventus half. Stops, gives it back to Lewis. Now out to Bernardo again. Bernardo just tiptoeing down that right touchline, stops, and then plays it with his left foot inside to Lewis. Lewis chips a pass out to the left now for Doku. Doku's up against Savona. He's got help inside from Conceição. Plays it to Lewis. Lewis on to Gundogan. Now De Bruyne maybe lining up a shot here, edge of the box, but working it wide to Bernardo. Back to De Bruyne. First time cross, looking for Haaland in their post. Might drop to him on a second bounce from Koopmeijer's poor header. And it does, but he can't get a clean shot away, and it's stopped by Di Gregorio.
Yeah, frustrating there for Haaland to say the second attempt he got it as a complete gift when that first one was blocked, and if he could have just got a shot away, I mean, it's a good ball in from De Bruyne initially, then it's a real slice of luck as that first header from Thuram goes straight back towards Haaland, but his effort is charged down. Now City trying to put some pressure here on Juve playing up from the back.
Yeah, they've forced a throw in, but it's a Juventus throw out on the left touchline. Danilo, who's been playing right back for Juve. That is his usual position, but swapped across to the left because they've got injuries in that position at the moment. And now a good tackle back by Grealish, wins it for City. Lost by Conceição. Lewis now moves forward, finds Grealish now facing goal. Grealish looks to the run of Haaland, plays it into the Norwegian's feet. Left foot shot, in fact a cross-come shot, which he's dealt with by Thuram with a nice chest back to Di Gregorio.
Yeah, you've got to say that Juve are actually very composed in defence. City are getting a fair amount of possession and half chances and opportunities to cross the ball into the box, but whether it's Di Gregorio, the goalkeeper, or his defenders, they are very confident that they're soaking all that pressure up very well for the time being.
Yeah, City will try again as we enter the final 8 minutes of the first half. 2 total attempts to 1 in favour of Juventus at the moment, and yeah, it's
nothing on target so far.
No. It's a slow burn. City go back to the halfway line now with Diaz and Josko Gvardiol. The Croatian plays it down the line, finds Doku. Doku holds it up in a tight area, knocks it back to his teammate. And whether Gvardiol will be happy to be playing in a back 3, that's something he would have done with Croatia at least, maybe not so much at club level in the past. He's obviously played full-back as well, hasn't he? Left-back for Manchester City. He seems to be better left-back than central defender last season.
Absolutely. He had a real glut of goals as well, didn't he? Sort of drifting in from that left-back position, but here come Juve now. Yeah, good tackle there by Walker. Juve win it back there with Vlahovic. Now Locatelli finds the open man out on the left, which is Yildiz. Goes back to Thuram, but I think Yildiz was offside. Flag goes up, and it's a free kick to City in the right-back position. Disappointing that from Juve, but as you say, that they weren't expected to get that ball back, and it's a good spot from the linesman in fairness, because Yildiz was moving back into an onside position, but he was offside when that ball was played across to him. As we see that last move there from City, Haaland trying to cut the ball back, but that is a very calm chest down from Khéphren Thuram. City looking to work an opening, but despite the good work of Doku there, spinning and running in behind Savona, nobody played in the ball. They'll try through midfield now with Lewis. He's tackled by Locatelli. Ball breaks the way of Gvardiol. Now he finds Doku, who's centrally positioned. Grealish is further wide than him out on the left, and he's been fouled there, I think, by Conceição. So certainly he went down like he was being fouled. That's a good ball from Haaland. That's a good ball to Haaland. Haaland forces the first save of the game from Di Gregorio. It was a lovely move involving De Bruyne and Haaland, who made a great run onto his left foot, tried to chip the keeper, but couldn't beat Di Gregorio. I think we've got to give a lot of credit there to the goalkeeper, because as he's going down, he still gets that arm up and makes a one-handed save just to stop Haaland after a lovely ball in from De Bruyne. But here come Juve now. Yeah, down the right with Conceição. He's teasing Lewis onto his left foot. Plays it now for a shot that comes in from the edge of the box, too close to the goalkeeper from Danilo.
easy save for Ederson.
Well, statistically we can say that Juve have had an effort on target now, but it doesn't really compare to the one that City had, where it really was a last-ditch save there from Di Gregorio. But it just goes to show with players like Haaland and De Bruyne, it just takes that one pass, that one through ball, and City can still put anyone under pressure.
Yeah, they were linking up again at the weekend, weren't they? I know De Bruyne didn't get the assist for Haaland's goal, but you can certainly see in the moments there that the old understanding was there. It's obviously not played too many times together this season, with De Bruyne being out for so long. Now the ball from De Bruyne finds Grealish, who switches it back out towards the left for Doku. Doku comes inside, still going towards the edge of the box. Back to Grealish, back to De Bruyne. De Bruyne trying to burrow his way through, but Koopman is too physical for him. Gets it away to Conceição. He tries to move out of defence with Gvardiol stopping his progress. All he can do is knock it out of play for a throw, and Thiago Motta tries to raise his spirits there by patting him on the back.
Yeah, well, Thiago Motta's obviously trying to encourage his player there, and I think overall the manager will be pleased with how his side have responded. We're just getting a replay of that last attack. No hint of an offside. It's a good ball from De Bruyne, but it is a good save from Di Gregorio. It
was a slide rule ball from the Belgian to the Norwegian, and so often those type of chances were put away by Haaland last season, and obviously he's missed a few as well, and on this occasion it was not to be, as Di Gregorio made a good stop. Now here's Grealish, dropping it off to Doku on the left-hand side. He gets past Conceição and he's been fouled, and the referee points for a free kick. He might have a word here with Conceição, who's complaining to Doku about what he thinks was a bit of simulation, but I don't think there was.
I mean, there's no simulation there at all. If anything, Doku's not actually done anything to spice up that challenge. He's been taken down by Conceição, and considering how much he was complaining earlier when he had a bit of a collision with Rico Lewis, if that had been done to Conceição, he'd be asking for a free kick just as much.
See another replay of the Haaland opportunity. I mean, maybe you'd look at that in hindsight. Maybe he would look at that in hindsight and say, could I have gone round the goalkeeper rather than try to chip him? But you know,
it may just be a case of him not having his 100% confidence either. I think as a fully confident Haaland would just take it round to the goalkeeper, but maybe just a little bit more nervous recently. Tries to take an early shot, clip it past him, and it was a decent save. But you can see there's a couple of other City players trying to have a bit of a go at Conceição. Grealish now is having a bit of a word with the young Portuguese as well.
Yep, referee did have a word with Conceição after that challenge on Doku. It's going to result in just a free kick as De Bruyne gets the ball down on the left-hand side. Now, can he produce better than his first couple of free kicks, which have been disappointing deliveries when they've gone in the end? City got four bodies around the 6-yard box as De Bruyne bends it in towards the near post, and it's headed clear by Thuram behind for a corner.
Yeah, whether or not the goalkeeper would have got there, I think he probably does, De Gregorio. He was just tracking that one all the way, but De Bruyne trying to catch him out. Maybe needed just a little bit more pace to actually have a chance of getting in the back of the net.
So, De Bruyne now to take the corner. Referee having a good look at what's going on there in the 6-yard area, with a bit of wrestling, bit of jostling between Kalulu and Diaz, which is taking his attention. Juve have got a line of about 6 defenders there just in front of Di Gregorio, trying to protect the keeper from any physical contact as much as the goal. Here comes the corner then from De Bruyne. This one's whipped in towards the near post, and it's cleared away by Juve. Then further on by Conceição. Juve make a bit of a mess of getting it further away, but City have the ball. They've been forced back as Walker sends it all the way to goalkeeper Ederson. So it looks like we're headed for a goalless first half at the Allianz Stadium. Very few opportunities, the best of them falling to Erling Haaland with the chipped effort that was saved by Di Gregorio.
That said, though, I wouldn't say the game's been played at a very slow pace. It has been quite an entertaining watch in terms of trying to see how these two sides are going to sort of match up against each other. Albeit we have been starved of some quality in the final third, but it has been interesting just to see who can break the deadlock here.
Walker, he goes back again to Diaz. Diaz now with Vlahovic just alongside him, plays it back to Ederson, using the goalkeeper as the extra man there, and Gvardiol now goes back to his goalkeeper again. They're just trying to bait Juve to come on and try and create some space behind the Juventus team, but they're very disciplined. Thiago Motta has drilled them well, and they're not overcommitting. Ederson kicks long, but it's gone way beyond Haaland, who gave up the chase there, and it goes all the way through to Di Gregorio. And it just seems like the City team have been a bit surprised by how Juventus have played tonight.
I think so. I think whether or not was Guardiola expecting that the Juve team were just going to be sitting back at the edge of their box and hoping for the best? I mean, there was always going to be a bit more to Juve than that, and I think that the fact that City have been off the pace recently means that potentially Juve would have felt that a little bit more confident. That said, the amount of draws they've had recently also says that maybe they don't get too many goals themselves. So it's no surprise that they've been quite lively on the ball, but at the same time not getting too many chances.
Gatti to Savona, played it inside to Locatelli, back to Savona, and he finds Gregorio, who chips it out towards the left. Risky ball, but it got to Kalulu, but then he's almost given it away to Danilo. Danilo now forward to Thuram. Thuram chops back inside and plays it back to Kalulu. And now, a little move here as Danilo's got on the attack. Just a few positions being swapped around by Juventus at the moment. So Kalulu's playing very wide on the left-hand side. He's the centre-back. Danilo's now gone way ahead of him as almost a raiding full-back. Here's Thuram. Maybe just switching things up here before the half to try and confuse Manchester City or Juventus. But now Locatelli spreads it out to the right. It's over Conceição's head. He's trying to keep that one in. Not sure he's managed it. The linesman's flag stays down. He plays it up now towards Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners' poor ball in the direction of Vlahovic, has him chasing a lost cause down by the corner flag, and he sends it back towards Savona. Savona, can he win a free kick here? Get Juventus something tangible before the half-time whistle, but all they can get is a throw-in down in the City left-back area. We're going to have seconds left in the first half. In fact, that is the end of the only minute of stoppage time. The referee's blown his whistle, and at half-time it is Juventus 0, Manchester City 0.